Hi everyone, how are you today? It's the Handmaiden of God again today, and my name is Olamide Zamani. Nice to have you on this episode of Made Straight, where we make issues straight, and it's based on the scripture Luke 13:13, where Jesus laid hand on a woman that was bent over and he made her straight. And today we're going to be talking about mental health in the kingdom. We want to demystify this mental health matter. For some people, mental health is cringe. Mental health is, I don't want to talk about it. Mental health is a uniform. Like, please don't affect my mental health. What exactly is mental health? Today we're going to be finding out. And with me, I think you're going to hear today again. With me today is a sister in Christ. She has a bachelor's degree in physics and she has a master's degree in psychology. She's a mental health advocate. She's fantastic at helping children with learning disabilities. She's a life coach. Are you tired yet? Her CV is Agidigbai. Please welcome with me, Sister Grace Edible. Did I pronounce it well?
Yes, you did.
Right.
Surprisingly, yeah.
I'm a Nigerian to the core. You're welcome, sis. How are you?
I'm good.
It's so good to see you. It's been
good
a while.
To see you too.
I need to tell you guys how we met. It was completely, I don't know if I've ever used this word on this show. It was completely serendipitous. I had gone for a training and she happened to be an anchor at that training, and I was just looking at my time. I had to go back to my baby. I don't know how she just homed in on me. She had fantastic bedside manners. She just calmed me down, helped me get comfortable. And I should have guessed that's what she does for a living. She knows human psychology. She knew the things to say to help me relax and stay through the course of the training. Thank you for that day, sis.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. So let's demystify mental health, especially as pertains to Christians. I don't think it's a topic that people generally in Africa, the culture, doesn't really like the idea of mental health. How much more when it comes to believers, people quote the scripture, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So when it comes to mental health, it's like a no-go area. But I think the people that made it trend the most are the Gen Zs, because they were known to always cite that as an issue. Like if somebody was making them uncomfortable at work, they'll say, it's affecting my mental health. That's what they say Gen Zs are known for.
Yeah.
What is mental health? And, especially to...
Thank you for having me. And I love when it comes to this topic. I talk about it anytime I get a chance to. And it's simply because, before we even talk about what mental health is, I would start by saying that when you talk about health generally, maybe now we are focusing on mental health because it was there all along. It was there. But because, most times when people don't really understand certain things, they don't talk about it. So the likes of us have started, creating awareness. That's why we get to hear about it. Now, the Gen Zs, they're taking it to another level. That one is another story for another day, right? Yes, what is mental health? Really, mental health is simply our psychological well-being, social well-being, emotional well-being, how we relate with each other, how we think, how we act, how we behave. That's what mental health is. As simple as that. And how we cope with stressors. So it's nothing new, really.
Wow.
But now, people are, when things happen and they're like, people cannot, they say maybe spiritual, how can somebody just sit down and nobody is not talking to someone, it became a need. And then research opened it up. It was there all along.
So I think what happened was that the word mental was associated with insanity, right? Mental is an English word.
Yeah.
But when they say you are mental, right, you already mean it's an insult already. Whereas it wasn't meant to be. So we Nigerians, we can rebrand things.
Mm-hmm.
So we rebranded the word mental. And so when people say mental, they say, I'm not mad. Who told you I'm mad? I'm very fine.
And I love that you mentioned it, because my work, if I catch you anywhere close to me, I would educate you. because that's why the stigma is there. There's a huge difference. There's mental health and there's mental illness. So they mix both.
They swapped it.
Yes, and that's coming from a place of ignorance, I must say. And honestly, you can't blame people when they don't know things. That's why we're taking. Thank her, because after this episode, you get to learn better and know better. So that's the whole idea.
Yeah, thank you for that, sis. I think people need to understand that demystification, and we need to start becoming more responsible in our terminologies. Because if we're not responsible in our terminologies, that's when we now start having problems in using. We're going to spend so much money, and I'm sure a lot of people, a lot of institutions, and a lot of organizations, albeit for their various agendas, have spent so much money in advocacy and activism as pertains to mental health because of the wrong usage of terminologies. Like I just earlier explained, saying when people say you are mental, there was a song back then, Kolo Mental, remember? So people were not qualifying the word mental. Is it mental health or is it mental illness? Which one was it? Well, I think Nigerians just did a pushback when it comes to mental. But I think people are becoming a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
There seems to be quite a number of advocates like yourself who are coming up now and talking about it. But I want to ask you, what happened between, let's say, the time of the millennials into the Gen Zs, to the Gen Alphas, and what happened? Why was there a sudden rise in autism? Since it's your forte, like what happened? As of now in Nigeria, they said there was autism back then, and they used to hide those who were autistic, but I don't think they were as many as they are now. What people blame all sorts of things, and I don't want to mention the things that people blame, like how did autism become, and it's almost becoming what's the word, fashionable. Sometimes I've seen people who claim autism or dyslexia almost like it's a blessing. Oh yeah, I'm kind of dyslexic, you see. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to laugh at them, but I can't explain why it's like something that is not normal has been normalized, and it's almost like trendy. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Like, let me not talk too much.
Okay, so to answer and why people, it's a case of acceptance. You're able to handle things better when you first accept it, because when you continue to what's the word I'm looking for, to push back that no, I'm not when you're in denial you'd suffer more. But so what you see people do these days,
oh right, I see,
it's just a case of acceptance, right? Just like we started by saying that,
and I think maybe their carers also, in trying to give them confidence, now let them feel, oh, you're special.
Okay.
It's okay to be that way.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and it more so, very, very importantly, I must add. So some of these things are they're classified under neurodevelopmental issues, brain issues, and there are physical issues that you find happening to people. And why should the one that affects the brain be unique and special, where people would say this one is better than this one, or this one should be handled with this. So that's where autism and some of these things come to play. And again, the rise, it's been there. I would say it's been there, but before now, a lot of things were connected to, spiritual issues. They would be like, okay, it's an attack. They would be like, it's this. Now, science has helped us to understand that it's an actual, it's more like we're very careful with some of these terms we use, but then it's something that should be treated as an illness, or it's a spectrum. Autism is a spectrum, and you see that when you find out that people are beginning to accept it, it's because people now understand it better, and they see that when you check people that are autistic, they're almost, some of them are like, they have some genius abilities.
You know?
So that's why, people are like, I mean,
maybe it's not so bad.
It's not so bad. If only you can see that there are things that you can do that, normal people, in quote, are not able to do. You hear the likes of ADHD. I have ADHD. That's why I'm able to do this. I'm able to do that. I may not be able to concentrate, but when I'm doing this, I'm doing it perfectly. That's one of the reasons. And then some actors, celebrities that, had dyslexia and some of these issues, they are able to tell you that despite
that they become the success that they are today.
You understand? So the story around it is helping.
Yes.
The acceptance is helping. Research and better ways to manage it is helping. That's why we're hearing about it, and that's why we're seeing some of these things. So it's safe to say that even if it is an issue, it's not a death sentence. It's not something that should be hidden. It's not something that, this awareness, what we do is now helping people see that, look, stop hiding it. This, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, and you live normally. And that's why it's out there now and people talk about it. Yes, that's
okay. I think, as we're talking about it in terms of the kingdom, I think the reason why people will struggle a little bit is because of that need for wholeness. At the end of the day, we stay connected to God through Jesus, and we want to have that wholeness. We want to have that. And once you see that something is missing from the whole, you will push back. Sincerely, and I don't want to disrespect your qualification and your craft. I will struggle a little bit with the word acceptance, I would say surviving around it. This is me now, right? I wouldn't, I'm not a professional, but in that aspect, but I wouldn't want, like, it's kind of, when you accept something, it's hard to fight it. It's hard to treat it. That's the way that's the lens from which I'm looking at it. How do we, if you say, oh, just accept it, then how will it be treated? It's like saying you have malaria, just accept it. Do you see?
No, so
this is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether, like I said, we have to be responsible regarding our terminology. So if we tell them to accept it, it's almost like
owning it.
Yes. So yes, we're going to talk about that word, that acceptance. You respond. But fun fact, there was a time in my life I wanted to be a psychologist. I really believed I was meant to be a psychologist because I was so young. And if you guys scroll down to the bottom of my first videos, you see where the video, that the advocate's journey, how I became an advocate. People were always coming to me for counseling. Now, parents will come to me for counseling. My parents used to talk to me, and sometimes I used to have, I used to believe that when I'm talking to people, something injects them what I call truth serum. They will just start saying their heart. I'm like, maybe I should go and study psychology. Maybe I should be a psychologist. Do you see? So I used to get excited when I meet psychologists. So I was really excited to meet them. I'm like, here we go again.
Thank you.
The stars are aligning. Maybe I should go back to school.
Maybe.
So yeah, people are struggling with that acceptance, and I struggle too in terms of being a believer, to say I should accept something that is not a part of the whole. And I mean no disrespect to whoever may be struggling with any kind of mental health inadequacy. I mean no disrespect, but it's just tough to use the word accept. But I would rather say they should survive outside of it, and we were talking about children with learning disabilities in terms of autism as well, And by the way, I wanted to also ask, I'm saying many things at the same time, but what's the difference between autism and Asperger's? Because I remember seeing a movie about Asperger's syndrome, and there was this really brilliant guy. Like, what's the difference? Like,
there's really no difference. It's a name,
right.
So they stopped calling it autism, just for when a research is
progressive.
Is progressive,
right?
So when things are discovered, they because sometimes the tag may have a particular connotation. In some cases, but it's pretty much the same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah. So
right.
It's a spectrum, and people are different levels. So they use some of these terminologies to differentiate, but they are one and the
They're
same.
one and the same.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that acceptance, I feel like, is making people become like they're making it sound like something that's meant to be trendy, and like I said, I mean no disrespect, but at the end of the day, it's still an anomaly that may need rectification. And if we'll go straight properly into the right word in terms of us being believers, we could almost use the word deliverance. And I know deliverance too is a buzzword amongst we believers, but deliverance at the end of the day is God pulling something out of something, right? So yeah, where do we draw the line as believers? And you being a believer, like, where do you draw the line when it comes to you and say somebody has, mental health issues or a mental health illness to be categorical? Or let's say, for instance, now there's something that's also trending. They call it body dysmorphia. I'm like, which one is body dysmorphia again? Like, why is someone having an issue with how their body is to the point it's affecting them mentally? How do you, as a professional and a believer, handle such a situation? Tell me.
All right. So first things first. We have ethics. I have to put that there.
Yeah.
And then you're a Christian, and at the same time you're a professional. And when somebody, so let me start by saying that, okay, when you go to hospital to see a medical doctor and you have malaria or something, first things first, you will talk about the symptoms. You're not the malaria. The malaria is an illness that would be treated. But you went to the test. You went to do your test, and you came. So are you going to? And I'm using this illustration to just buttress a point. Now that you took that test and they're treating you for malaria, it's because you've agreed that, okay, you have that malaria, whether you say it or not. You're going to take you're taking the drugs, and it's a confirmation of the fact that
there's a situation that needs to be handled. Yes.
Now, when it comes to mental illnesses, or these things are not as physical as these days you see it in a behavioral form.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I love that you're admitting that it's a behavior. Sometimes it's a behavior.
Yeah.
But are you allowed to admit that it's also spiritual?
Oh yes.
Thank you. I thought you're not allowed to admit.
So now when I it's not just to admit it. So now let me for context.
You're right.
Because different spheres. I'm here as a Christian,
right?
And I'm speaking as a Christian.
Yes, yeah.
So there are some things that will and for what it is worth, there's actually spiritual psychology in terms of they work with you based on your belief.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yes, it's more or less a case of, okay, this person is a Christian, and they know that they are. So sometimes if you want to see progress, you work with them where they are.
Okay, right.
Where they are.
That's like customized learning.
Absolutely.
Can we call it that? It's like they're teaching you from your own perspective.
Absolutely, right. Because it's a mind thing, and the mind is what's the word? It's something that is more like programming. What's in your mind is going to affect how you behave.
Right.
Now, if you have a belief system and you believe that God is going to heal you, God is going to make things right, it's a good place to start. All we need to do is work with the symptoms on ground. Now, for instance, someone is depressed. As a psychologist, you're going to probe. There has to be a root cause. You're probing.
A trigger.
Something is making that person, depressed. There are several factors. It could be biological. It could even be environmental. It could just be genetic. It must several factors. These days people just say, I am depressed. I mean, loosely,
Very
I must say.
Yeah.
Depression is not something that people should be,
Playing with.
because
Or playing around with the word.
Yeah, it's an actual thing.
Yes.
So let's know the difference
Right.
when you're sad.
You're sad.
And when you're depressed.
You see, that's why I said, good. I love this. You know why? We need to have some terminology responsibility.
Absolutely.
We are abusing words.
Absolutely.
And because we're abusing words, we cannot get to the root cause of issues, or we cannot rightly name a situation, which is what I said earlier at the beginning of this conversation. The reason why there's a pushback in terms of mental health is that for a long time, once we say somebody is mental, it means the person is mad. No, because the word mental is English language.
Yes.
Everybody has a mental aspect of them.
Now let's make it easy. Let's even make it easy. The part of you that handles your reasoning, logic, critical thinking,
which is your soul.
All those areas.
Right.
You have the emotional part of you, the mental part of
right.
you, which is the cognitive.
Cognitive, right?
Yeah, all these parts they play, and there's a physical part of
right.
All these put together,
right?
So
it makes you is the whole of you,
beautiful.
Right? There's another terminology I want to, because I don't know how much time we have left.
Yeah,
there's another terminology I want us to talk about. Big buzzword globally. And in Nigeria, of course, narcissism.
Oh, are we going to go there?
Yes. We need to go there.
With what is going on,
everybody narcissistic. Do you see? Like, once any lady, like, and don't for those who may have gone through narcissistic abuse,
we're not trivializing
it, but we have to just own it that it is so sadistic.
Yeah.
Do you see? Like, people are not being responsible. It is true that there are some narcissistic people.
Yeah.
But how do we identify them? Do people really know what it means to be narcissistic?
Yeah.
I think I want you to talk about it. There are women. A lot of you may have gone through narcissistic abuse, and I respect you. And may God heal you if you've been through that. For some of the things I've read in terms of narcissism, and let's just even talk about how does a person become narcissistic? And I think that we need to understand it so that we'll also have empathy for the narcissistic person, because I really believe from my study that the person who is narcissistic is a victim of background.
Absolutely.
Is a victim of background. The person didn't choose to be narcissistic, right? So I think maybe you want to talk about how a narcissistic person evolves into becoming that person, and how people can identify them, either try to help them, or if they're not open to being helped, then just staying away and loving them from a distance.
So just like other mental illnesses and mental disorders, you categorize narcissism under, it's a disorder. It's not a normal thing. It's a personality issue. It's just like you have people that are sadists, you have people that are what's the word now? Different categories. Yeah, how did it start? Several factors. And you rightly said it is traceable to the upbringing. A lot of permissive behavior growing up.
Please explain to our audience, what does permissive behavior mean?
So these are contribute
contributory factors.
It's
right?
Not like it's there are several things.
It's not definitive.
Yes.
So good. So it's also a combination. It's really I really feel there's a whole lot. So when you say it's a contributory factor, so that what you're trying to tell me is that there are some children who grew up in that contributory factor, and they didn't turn out narcissistic.
Oh yes.
Right. But that mixture for that particular person produced a narcissistic character.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. Please go on.
You that psychology, you would go ahead. So there are certain things that when it's allowed, like behavior, a particular behavior, when it is, so you find children that are very deviant, they want it their way or the highway, and you permit it. As long as you permit it, when they get to a stage, it's either they get it that way or the highway. It's either, some of these things, it happens. That's why you have to, in parenting, there's a whole lot, shout out to all the parents out there. Sometimes you just things will just happen because you're trying to be a good parent, and then you create more like someone that
God
people
forbid we
God
create a
forbid,
monster.
a monster. I was
becomes
trying
horrible-
very hard.
No, that's probably what it is. I'm a parent too. I would not
Yeah.
want my child to
be a
become a monster
monster
to someone else's child. And I think we all should have that responsibility. If you're raising a child, you're not just raising your child for you. You're raising your child to be accountable to God and to be an asset to society.
Yeah.
So it's a responsibility, really.
Yes,
so
it
that's why this narcissism is something powerful to actually talk about.
Yeah, it's a topic on its own.
So we can't even blame a narcissistic person.
You can't. So here is the problem. So I would address the fact that people are abusing that word.
They are. I love.
It's just
true.
like trying to talk about how Gen Z is any small thing
Mental health.
And let me quickly say something that people don't understand. For every time you have something to do and you cower, you run.
You cower under the
under the mental
health. Yeah.
What you're telling your body is you lack the ability
to cope.
Whew. And after a while, you become. That's where we have people that are suicidal.
I need money. I want to drop off, friend.
Please. People are suicidal because they've not been able to build their
resilience.
So I'm just looking at Gen Zs and they're like, I beg my mental health, I beg.
You're weakening your system.
Absolutely.
Isn't that what we believers say? There's power in the word.
Yes.
Your body is accepting what you are prophesying.
Yes. Now, so going back to the acceptance, what we talked about. So as a Christian, they say, let the weak be strong. But we're acknowledging. So instead of acceptance, acknowledgement maybe would better.
Thank you. I prefer acknowledgement.
Yes. So acknowledge it.
Yes.
It's a problem.
It's a problem.
But I can deal with it. Because I'm a Christian, it's going to be a walkover. Because I strongly believe, you said, because you mentioned it, because even if we want to go into the Bible, there's a part. So when we're talking about there's a part in I think Philippians 4:6-7, and it talks about that we shouldn't be anxious.
Be anxious for nothing, but by prayer and supplication, make your request known.
There's an acknowledgement of anxiety there. You see what I mean? There is an acknowledgement. There you have do not be afraid. Almost 550 something.
They say 300 and something. 360 something. Each for each day in the year.
In the Bible.
In the Bible.
Now, what that means is there's an acknowledgement of fear.
I love this. Yes.
So so where I think we get it wrong as Christians and as believers is we almost dismiss a lot of things, to our own detriment. And that's where there should be a space. Yes. I know that this is a problem and I want to deal with it. Yeah. I'm going to deal with it professionally and spiritually because it takes a whole, you have to come from all aspects.
So
and deal with it.
So I'm a worker in my church, and he's an apostle, but let's say our shepherd, our pastor and teacher, when he's talking to us, the workers, even when he's talking to the church at large, he says something. He says, yes, you are Christians. Don't just say, those things can't happen to me. Go to the hospital and do a full body check. At least first know what you are dealing with. Then you can apply the scriptures and say, okay, this is the illness. So is it mental? Is it bodily? Is it spiritual? First acknowledge what is that thing, right? Detect what it is. Then we can attack it.
Yeah.
Whether we're attacking it with medicine or we're attacking it spiritually with scriptures. Right, so that's to corroborate what you're saying.
Yes,
that is the part of acknowledgement. Detect what the issue is. If you can't detect it, then you can't fight it. You can't fight what you don't know.
Absolutely.
And the Bible also says that we should not be ignorant of the devil's devices. So we need to know.
Should I even add?
Go on.
I think this part, when I get to talk about it, I talk about it with so much passion. We forget that God has equipped us using several methodologies, and that's how powerful God is. I find out some people would say that I am a Christian, I'm not allowed to go see a psychologist. I'd rather a pastor, a counselor.
Quick question: do you think that pastors should be equipped in terms of psychology?
They
because
have to be equipped.
They need to be equipped. Yes.
Now,
not just counseling. Because a lot of them, of course, go through a lot of people are beginning to go for certifications in counseling. But I think even much more than that, people need to understand human psychology because we are very complex.
We are.
We are complex beings.
And when you talk about human nature,
don't forget we're going back to narcissism. We have to address the matter.
Yes, this talk is always like this. You go here because there's a whole lot.
Yes.
There's a whole lot to do. But the beautiful part is to simplify everything we're talking about today is knowing that if there is a problem, there is a solution.
Mm-hmm.
And then if there is something that anyone is, especially, and this is where I lower my voice to talk about this.
Because you mean business.
I mean business. So many people don't think therapy is something they should, even think about, especially as Christians. So here is the thing.
Can I say we already do therapy, but it's just that we like to do it with our pastors and our spiritual leaders.
Yes.
And we need to let's clap for our spiritual leaders, people.
Yes,
of God.
They try.
They try. Right? And they're not, when we say they try, they're not getting paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
You will unburden, and guess what? The energy of what you are going through, you dump it with them. Because it does take energy. Can you?
Yes.
As a psychologist, don't you sometimes feel drained when you're done with it in a session?
No. So that's where professionalism.
Yes.
When I started, because of my empathetic nature, which is the reason why I'm even a psychologist in the first place, it was bad. I was like, hey.
Yeah.
At some point, I was like, hey, God, will I be able to do this thing? Because but
I think that's why we connect. We're both empaths.
Yeah. So the good thing is that's where training comes to play. That's where professionalism comes.
So what do? You detach? And how do you do that detachment?
Yeah. So that you'd have to pay to learn that. I have paid, and I'm still paying and I'm still improving. But it's more like a skill that you develop over time. Because you can't continue to pack baggages and everything. It's a skill. Yeah. So because we are in that field, for every time you go through a session, you're empathetic, but you know that, okay, this is a situation. There is a huge line. You have to deal with the situation and then help the person, on the journey. So you don't pack it and put it on.
Make it yours.
Yeah. So it's a skill that develops over time.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
This is for you now as a psychologist. You are learning this skill, but do you think it's changing you? If your original makeup and design, I'll come in.
Yeah.
If your original makeup and design is to be an empath, which means when someone is talking to you, you can feel their pain. You can cry with them. Right? Do you think that if you go through a training that helps you detach and put people at a distance, do you think it's changing your original design?
This question is a beautiful question. And I would answer by saying that, look, it's not changing. So human beings are social animals. And the beautiful thing about us human beings, by
using the word, she means biology. So
biology.
In biology, they refer to human beings as a higher form of animal. Yeah.
So now, one of our characteristics as human beings is our adaptability skills. So the problem we have sometimes when we say, this is how I am, and nothing can
and you refuse to change.
You're not following one of the characteristics of human of being a human being. Flexibility, adaptability. That's why so one thing that I went through something personally, and I realized that my adaptability skill
is what helps you.
I was not sharp.
Right.
So it affected me.
Right.
So it's part of what we're talking about. One key thing that as a human being to also know your mental state and mental resilience is your adaptability skill. The higher your adaptability skill, your flexibility, the higher your mental resilience and mental yes. Because what it means now, to answer your question, is
remind me of my question. Okay, right. Thank you.
It isn't changing me.
Right.
It is only making me a better person.
Version of yourself. A
better
higher version of yourself.
Yes. Now what? Because there are dark sides to an empath. Oh yes, please.
What are the dark sides?
The dark sides, most times for an empath is burnout, overwhelm.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
These things. So you need to know where to draw the line.
Or even how will I say it? Outsource the anxiety, outsource depression, outsource sadness. Right. Yeah. Because you're taking
You're
on
an energy feeder.
Yeah.
You can take on. Yeah. So you need to build the skill. So it's not changing me because
it's even helping you be a better empath.
Beautiful.
Right.
So we're at our rough when we suffer certain things. We're at our rough stage. Should I?
Right.
When you sharpen it,
right.
You
You
see
become
how
refined. Right.
Even when I remember there was this miracle, and then walk on water and everything. The whole story. It was a case of, if he had continued, he would have been refined to a point where it would have been,
and just be like Jesus, where he could walk on the whole ocean. Right.
You get. So that plays even in our. So what makes you?
Because he dared to come out of the boat in the first place.
Absolutely.
Right.
So for me, the big move was to help. I stepped out of why am I always feeling? Somebody is feeling bad. What's my business? I may not even know you. I'll be crying and I'll be feeling bad. I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. Do you understand? And after a while,
I'm so happy you went to school for it. And as believers, we need to do that. After you've discovered an identity that God has placed in you in terms of your calling, study to show yourself approved.
Absolutely.
I really wish I went to do this psychology. Absolutely. Secondary school.
Oh, really?
I'm telling you.
Because I wanted to. What I do now, I would call it. I mean, sometimes we know we want to do this, but because the way the society has painted it for us is how. So I wanted to be a doctor so badly that the first year I got into school that I was given physics, I was crying. I was frustrated and everything, but what you really want to do is not the profession. It's what do you want to help people? You want to help people heal. You want to help people get out of a state of from a terrible state to a better state. So when we really understand the purpose and the meaning of what we really want to do, we'll give it a new meaning. And then we'll find a profession that would suit it.
I think that you should put a lot of prayer power into what you're doing. There's a part of the scriptures that talks about healing for the nations. And I make bold to speak that one of the biggest wounds happening now in the world is not just mental health illness, but soul wounds. There's a lot of soul wounds. Wounds from parents, wounds from siblings, wounds from the church, wounds, different kind of wounds. And it's going to take people like your ilk, your type, who are empaths, who have studied human psychology, whom God can channel his healing power through what you study and even beyond it into the souls of men. I really pray that by God's grace, you will get to the zenith. I think there's a knowledge you must still, I'm prophesying, there's a knowledge you need to come into, right? That will then trigger your visibility. All you are waiting for now is visibility. That's all. I don't know why, but that's what God put in my heart to say to you. Visibility. But whilst you're waiting for that visibility, you are packing water into your clouds. And Bible says if your clouds be full, it will rain. It will rain. It will rain.
It will rain. I know that it's going to so rain.
It will so rain, and I hope you'll be ready for it.
I'm building capacity and I'm building momentum.
I love that. Build capacity, yes.
Yeah, so back to the
narcissistic, yes. Let's get responsible in who we call a narcissist. Some people are just badly behaved. It's not every badly behaved person that's a narcissist, right?
There was a time that...
And I feel like it's also becoming, just like how they talk about dyslexia, it's also becoming trendy, like, you're so narcissistic. Oh, yes. That's why I'm so smart. You see people make queer statements, like some kind of brilliance comes with narcissism. And because if you read history and find out people like Alexander the Great,
they were ruthless.
They were ruthless, and yes, they exhibited some narcissistic traits, right? So Yes, but do you think it's something to ever embrace as a person?
So two questions I always put out there, because I mean, for everything there's a side that looks good, but the question is, at the end of the day, when you look at yourself, when you ask yourself certain questions and you answer yourself, you would be like, was it worth it? Now, I'm saying this because people have mentioned how they have to be inhumane to achieve certain things, and having the narcissistic behavior gives them. Some people actually learn it because of how people.
So it can be learned behavior.
Yes,
I was going to say that
everything can be learned.
Thank you so much.
You can learn
Some
it.
people are not narcissistic, but they are exhibiting narcissistic behavior.
Yes,
because they learned it.
Now, so if you're working with, first things first, if your chances of being narcissistic is when you're with someone that is narcissistic. That's why they always say that, Ron. They always say it, right? But I wouldn't say that, because I mean, different situations and different coping tools and coping mechanisms.
Right?
So I would say that it's not a very pleasant thing for anyone, to be in the same space with someone that, because for someone that doesn't have emotion, it's, I mean, we were all born with it, right? But it has become a disorder that you're cold, that you don't care.
Someone will be crying and you're even happy.
You don't see the person. So why is it a disorder? Because the person is crying.
Right.
You are not seeing.
And you can't connect.
You can't connect because it's a disorder.
Yeah.
You cannot. It's just like someone that is when people do this they are not able to smile because some things have been tampered with.
Yeah.
It's not their fault. Even they are smiling inside, it won't show. They can't smile.
Yeah.
That's how it is. They cannot help themselves. They can't. They are.
So is there hope for them?
Yes.
What's the hope?
So now, they will tell you that some of these things are not redeemable. But there is always, for a narcissist that realizes the fact that he or she is a narcissist.
Do they ever? They don't have capacity for self-introspection.
They don't.
So how are they going to know they're narcissistic?
So, for instance, now
so complicated.
So now, we're human beings, and we get to a point where we rationalize things.
Right.
So for every time somebody comes to tell you that, look, you're narcissistic, you are this, you're that, even if you don't introspect, even if you don't care, you're a human being. Like this thing that they even say.
It's a pattern. Everybody seems to be saying it.
Yes. So let me even see. Is this, you're a human being. You'd get to research it. Even if you're researching it, not to do anything about it,
just for knowledge.
Yeah. So some people even learn certain things to be able to feign, emotions. Oh, yeah. Just because, they have been caught. More like that's why people that are very, and their praise are people that are gullible.
Empath.
It's
been said that they get drawn to empath.
Yes. People
could it be because they themselves lack emotions?
That's lack why it, so yes,
they get drawn to someone.
Negative attracts positive and all of that. Yeah.
Oh dear.
So there's a whole lot to it, and because
since the hope for a narcissistic person is deliverance.
Is deliverance. So I always
strike them with prayer.
I don't believe in impossibilities. So that's why maybe another person can come and they'll say there is no cure, but that's not me, because I just somehow believe that if it's a problem, there's a solution somewhere. Right. So for me, nothing is impossible. I don't believe in impossibilities because we have seen cases and we have seen seemingly impossible things, even from stories that we have read, we can see things turn around. So I would believe that somehow, things could change for someone. Because what would you say to someone that is married to a narcissist? The person is in that marriage. Usually you hear, get out of that place. It's not safe for you. None of that. I might have my own personal opinion and I wouldn't want to say it here because, some people might take it the other way. But what I always say is...
What would you recommend as a believing psychologist. You have to wear both hats. You
So
can't just
because I don't believe in impossibilities, right? I would say that you know some of these behaviors, like, you can learn, because we're human beings. We can learn. The beautiful thing is there's something in psychology about learning, social learning. There are things that you, on a good day, you're not wired to do it, but you notice that when you're in a place for a long time, you start to do it. Sometimes I would see with social media, you see somebody's father doing something and be like, how is this man doing this? What you see again and again and again will start to inform you, will start to make you think that, okay, I can do this. I can learn it. I can be it. And then it becomes a part of you. So for me, when you check out all the things that makes one a narcissist, there's a contrast. It may not be the whole thing. You can now start learning. Even if you struggle, now you want to be there for someone. Even if you struggle, it's not your thing, you don't care. You want to learn that, okay, can I be there for this person? Maybe just once.
So they're changing the wiring of their brain.
Absolutely. You start to inculcate some of the behaviors that you wouldn't do on a good day because it's not part of you, because you have a disorder and you have to deal with it. So there are several things that one could, put together. But because they always say that they never change, they are like that, which is usually like the case, right? But again, I don't believe, I know some people want to say, what is she saying? You've not witnessed a narcissist. You won't be saying what you're saying again. What I'm saying.
Is it possible to say the redemption of a narcissist is transformation?
Honestly, it's
transformation.
It's because it's like a root. So let me use this term. When you have a tree, I like to use natural things to make illustrations. When a root is formed, a tree is made. It will take you uprooting that tree and planting something else. And that's where upbringing comes to play. That's why they say train a child
in the way that it should go.
And it's harder. So while we're dealing with the full-grown adults that are narcissistic, can we start changing some patterns that will not lead people
to become that? So let's start from the cradle as well.
We have made mistakes.
Right.
Now
it's affecting a generation.
Do you understand?
Yeah, because there's a lot of outcry in various quarters of narcissistic people.
Oh, yes.
So it means that it's affected a generation.
It has, right? So can we now, that child will say, you must give it to me. As the parents, you see this one, and I do remind some of the clients that I work with. There's this client of mine.
It's a slippery slope. You know why? You come to that. You know why it's a slippery slope? Because I'm a mother.
Yeah.
The reason why it's a slippery slope, we talked about it outside of the podcast, which is that you call the prefrontal cortex, right?
Yes.
Prefrontal cortex, according to her, are those whom the front part of their brain has not yet formed. So, and that's children, basically. Yeah. So from what age to what age?
So our formative years, so even till 20, it's still developing. It's a part of the brain that develops.
Are you hearing this, guys?
It's a part of the brain that develops.
That develops over time. So 0 to 20. So let's just say 0 to 10. Or at least 0 to 5.
Yes.
0 to 5, they don't yet have the capacity for rational thought.
Yes.
So if a child insists on give me this, and you whoop them, right, and say, come on, sit down. You can't always have your way, or you can't. Can they process that? So
now, the fact that their prefrontal cortex is not developed doesn't mean that they don't have sense. They have sense.
And by sense, do you mean the kind of sense we say in Nigeria, or because like I said,
the children of nowadays, they know. So when we talk about that, it's a whole ball game, because it's just like growth in itself, from a child, to an adolescent. There are certain things that you cannot even accept because you're a child. Once you're an adult, you can accept it. So it's a developmental thing, right? But in a behavioral setting, there are consequences for every action. And when a child is taught. You're grooming a child.
Right.
The child would throw tantrums.
Right.
The child would. So there are times that you permit, and there are times that you stand on your
ground.
You stand your ground. And what that means is you're training the child that mommy is not always going to be there.
Right.
And life will throw certain things at you.
Right.
So if you don't get those things, what would you do? You kill yourself. What would you do, right? So that's why it is an intentional thing to do. And to answer that question, because their rational mind doesn't mean that a child, and that's where their first lesson.
Their rational mind may be absent, but they still have.
It's there.
It's growing.
It's growing.
Right.
So a child knows as little as a child, even when you breastfeed a child and you notice that the child is watching your face, is looking at you. That's the learning. They are learning. They are grabbing everything. They are collecting all the data. So now, if you're afraid, if something happens and you're afraid, the child looks at you. The child, usually kids, they're not afraid of anything. They have learned that when it comes to this, you'll be afraid. Recently, my nephew was going to catch a lizard. And I was like,
from where to where?
See the lizard, he was going to catch it, he's almost 2. And I'm like, he now saw me. It was not like
that means that's something to not
go
do.
there. Right? So if he sees a lizard tomorrow, he knows, even though he's still growing, he might want to try it again. But if you tell a child to put, the child will put fire, naturally, they will want to go and touch it. But they have learned the lesson that this thing that looks like fire. If you go there, you don't need rational mind. You have learned
You have learned, right?
That same attitude.
You learn by experience.
Exactly. That same attitude or that same learning style can be used when trying to pass a message across to a child that look, this one is a no-go area because of there is something now that is very rampant. Cocoa melon. I mean, I'm trying hard not to say, but it's out there, so I'll say it.
Right.
Because you see a child, it's a programming. And they are now.
Everybody has seen that compilation. It's scary. There was a video compilation of how a baby can be sleeping and they just hear the soundtrack of Cocoa Melon and they just get up like this.
Like a robot.
Like, what's going on here?
They've been programmed to. So because you can
program it at all.
So it's all, when we talk about some of these issues, we play our parts and then we let God play God's part. So when we now dismiss a lot of things that, no, it's not my portion, I reject it in the name of the Lord, fine. But while you're rejecting it,
there has to be some physical actions to buttress what you are rejecting.
Thank you, my sister. Thank you.
This has been so enriching. If you have any questions, as usual, you can send your questions to cso@thehandmaidenofgod.com. And please, if you need a believing therapeutic session, right? You believe you need it, you need to unburden, you need to unwind, you need to get down to the root of the matter of something you're struggling with mentally, please you can reach out to me, or you can also reach out to Grace Edible. You can give them your number, which is a 080 97 25 69. Yes, please. She's fantastic at what she does and she has a heart for it. And I really believe she's also called to do it. And I love when people can, in their craft, as being Christians in the marketplace, they can infuse their belief system into what they're doing, because I've seen stories and events where psychologists were using their profession to take advantage of people, right? Because those people were vulnerable to them, they opened up to them, they began to manipulate the people. The first likely those psychologists were narcissistic, because the first thing they did was that they shut down the network of their patient, that particular patient that they were handling. They shut down the network. This is in movies. It's happening in real life.
They shut down the network. I don't understand.
But the family. They they turned their patients against the family. You've never heard of such stories.
That's unethical.
It is unethical, but it happens. It happens. Just like you have people who use their profession wrongly, you
Yeah.
know. So so that's what I'm saying. For your kind of role, because you're handling someone's mental space, a person needs to have the fear of God. That's why I said,
absolutely.
a person needs to have the
Absolutely.
fear of God.
Very important.
Thank you all so much. I'm not sure if there'll be a part 2, but there possibly might be. Thank you, sis, for coming. Thank you for honoring us with your presence and with your knowledge as well. Till the next episode, bye for now.